Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to be running through the maze instance of the Great Barrow instance set with a group. And the Great Barrow instance set is a set of 3 instances that you unlock at level 20, except for the last one, the third one. You need to run through the first 2 to get a key so you can enter the last one. So this is actually a quite popular instance set. People even run it at endgame levels. But it's probably just more popular because at level 20 you unlock skirmishes and can start doing instances, so people get excited about that, start getting groups together to do it, and then it just sort of becomes a trend, I guess, to do it between the levels of 20 and 40, I would say. Sadly, after level 40, between that level and close to the end of the game, you don't do much instances or raids, just because people aren't willing to do them. They were very willing to do them at the time of their release, when that was the max level, but now it's just a raid to do to get loot for an area that they already went through, so not many people are willing to do it. This instance, the maze, is probably one of my favorite instances. Not that I've done a whole lot of them, but it's probably my favorite out of the Great Barrow instance set, just because there's a lot of AoE kills. You just basically run into a bunch of rooms filled with mobs and kill them all, except for the boss fights. My champion is hopefully going to become a full AoE champion using the Ardor stance and the Deadly Storm trait line. I have one trait of the Deadly Storm trait lines so far, the Swift to Anger trait. That changes Swift Strike into Swift Blade, which is pretty much like Blade Storm, except it generates 1 fervor even out of combat if it doesn't hit anything. So that's very useful for using it right before you lose your last fervor pip, so that you can get off Flurry or Sudden Defense before your next fight. This first boss fight up ahead is probably, from my experience at least, the hardest out of the whole instance here. Just because of the mobs that come out at the end, not really because of the main boss in the fight. Pretty much every time you run it, you have to wait here at the landing, clear out some of the ads here that walk around the room, and just go over the plan for fighting the boss, get some buffs on yourself. So the champion and I use our javelin and my bow to pull the mobs to the stairs so that we can kill them without pulling the boss. As I said, the boss is actually quite easy on his own, except for the mobs that he summons later on. The first set of mobs isn't too much of a challenge. It's just some whites, or whatever they're called. They might not be called whites. The mobs at the end are actually a bunch of giant worms that I guess are kamikaze worms. They kill themselves, releasing fields of gas that can actually do a lot of damage if you just sit in them. And sadly, most of the time when people run through this, the gas fields become spread out throughout the room so that there's barely any safe spot, and you just have to hope that your healers are good enough to keep your health up. Right here, he's summoning the worms, I believe. Yep, we finish him off pretty quickly, but then the worms come and start killing themselves in an attempt to kill us. Fortunately, none of us die here. But most of the times that I've run this instance, we've died multiple times right here. I use my bubble and run out of the gas, but sadly pull one of these, and I guess he knocks me back right there, so that he can come farther out into the room and just spread the gas farther. Right there, they just spawn, kill themselves, lifespan of half a second. I tried pulling this mob, but couldn't because my group got more damage on him, I guess. So I have to run through the gas and just hit my heal right there. Get as much health back up as I can. And right here I completely forgot about the flames that you have to set on the wrapped corpses. So I just foolishly run out of the room thinking I'm going to go kill some mobs on my own and look awesome, but I completely failed. So my group has to come save me right before I die. It was kind of embarrassing at the time, but you know, it happens. I probably could have taken him if it was just this one mob, but then this other mob came, and I'm forced to get off one more execution of Blade Wall, then run away. I sadly ran the wrong way, so I have to use a pot, run back through them to get to my group, and my group heals me. I turn around and finish the rest of them along with my group here. The mobs on their own are pretty easy throughout the instance. They're just a nuisance when you run through them. It's the boss fights that really get you if you don't know how to do them, or if you don't have a good enough healer. And as the name suggests, the maze is quite confusing the first or second time you play it, if you don't have a guide to lead you through it. I've played it a lot, so I have the general idea of which direction to go, but I never really know for sure. Right here I almost die because one of our group members had fallen behind, so I guess we just weren't all with it, so I had to run back and wait for him to come. But then we're good. Just keep pressing on through the instance. The warden and I did a very nice job tanking. The warden kept the bosses on him so that we were free to take on the ads or whatever mobs happened to be around for us to kill. I'm really enjoying the champion with how much DPS I can do. Feel really awesome when I'm killing mobs in a few hits. It's actually kind of annoying sometimes when I'm trying to use a deed skill and then the mob dies before I can use that skill. So sometimes I actually have to run around while my stance generates another fervor pip so that I can use the skill that I want to use. But of course here I stayed pretty focused on just playing as well as I could, not really trying to deed too much. I've been using the glory stance quite a bit since I got it at level 20, just because fervor is full DPS, mostly single target, so that's not really what I want to do. I want to either be a glory champion or an ardor champion. So that's just how I like to play my character. These worms come up at random times in the instances. not really random, but you don't expect them when you just walk around the corner and suddenly a bunch of worms explode at your feet and you almost die. It's a good thing that there aren't worms like that in real life. That would be very, very bad. The main boss fight is just up ahead. We have a couple more rooms of mobs to clear out, and then we finally get to the last two bosses, which really aren't that hard for being the main boss fight. As I said, the middle boss fight is probably harder just because of the worms that come at the end. The main boss fight, there are two main bosses with like 9,000 health or something, each at level 20 or 25, somewhere between there. And they just summon a crowd of mobs every once in a while. Nothing a good, well-built group can't handle. I sadly didn't have any food with me. I have been slacking a bit on my minstrel. He's my cook. But I did some crafting after I did this instance, so I should be able to have some food the next time I run one of these instances. I had gotten a nice attack damage buff for 1.5 hours. I got 3 of them, I believe, from the Hobbit presents. You know, sometimes the Hobbit presents are pretty useful, but I just kind of wish I would get the Universal Toolkit more often. I got that once on my Guardian, and I'm just too lazy to send it to my alts whenever I want to craft on them. Just don't really feel like it. As you can see here with all of us mostly on this boss, I'm just using my AoE skills to get the ads if they happen to be around me. We're able to burn him down pretty quickly. I'm actually impressing myself with how fast I'm getting off the skills and how accurately I'm able to do them with which one I'm supposed to use. I'm usually not that good, especially since I'm not using my keyboard for anything besides like the first 5 on the bottom row. That's just where my fingers can reach going away from my movement keys. But that was the video. So thank you everybody for watching. Be sure to like, comment, or even subscribe if you want to. I will be uploading more of these instances, hopefully, and hopefully start a series with them. So thanks for watching, and see you later.